All right, in this video, I want to talk about the devil's patterns. And it's not that mysterious because what you do is you look at God's patterns in the Bible. And then what the devil does and everything that God does is try to counterfeit it and mimic it in a devilish way. So it's similar, but it's corrupted. So one thing that I wanted to talk about is in the book of Acts, and I think it's chapter 2. Yes, chapter 2, I believe. It says in the last days, God will pour out his spirit and people will see visions and have dreams and lots of things will start happening. And then you look at that and you say, well, the devil's pattern is very similar. So what do you think the devil's going to be doing or is doing? He's pouring out his spirit as well. And when you look up the word spirit, another definition in the Strong's Concordance is mind. So Paul writes about us having the mind of Christ. Well, the devil's pouring out his mind on this earth, as we can see happening all around us, and he wants people to have his mind. So there is truly a spiritual war going on, a mind war. It's a massive psychological war right now. And so with that being said, one of the reasons I'm mentioning this is because on my Instagram channel, I've been shadow banned to only being able to post 15-second videos. And this is a big deal because for years and years and years, for years at least, I've been able to post like 15-minute videos. And so now down to 15 seconds, it takes me back to the beginning when I first joined Instagram, only being able to post 15-second videos. So I'll be posting my longer videos on here, YouTube, but I'm still able to do lives on Instagram. I'm still able to post memes on Instagram, and I'm still able to post in the story section on Instagram, which is like 1-minute clips or memes. So it's still, fairly useful. It's kind of a shame because the majority of things that I posted were, videos about 5, 10, 15 minutes long, but that's okay. We work with what we got. Again, it's not like I'm paying for any of this. So I'm actually using their system against them. You know what I mean? They put these things up to push their agenda or the devilish agenda to pour out the devil spirit, and us, right? We use their equipment to, expose them and pour out God's spirit in that sense, in a way, right? So that's okay. I mean, it is what it is, and I'll work with what I got here. But just remember that we're in the last days where God is pouring out his spirit upon a lot of people. You got to be careful because there's a lot of deceivers out there. You got to use your discernment. Got to use the Bible. But with that being said, the devil is doing the same thing in his way. He wants the mind of his thinking to be poured out too. And a lot of the way that is done is by people having self. You can see, because the devil's okay with you worshiping yourself and loving yourself too much, because that's what he does. Right? He's about himself. Jesus said, the one who comes after me will come in his own name. Right? So he's trying to exalt himself just like God exalts himself. So something to be aware of. Every time you see God doing something in the Bible, remember the devil does the same type of thing, just in a counterfeit, corrupt way. But it's in the realm of similarity. Remember, the devil appears as an angel of light. He appears as a messenger of light. And it says that the devil's ministers are ministers of righteousness. You say, how can that be? Well, that's how the devil gets people. He'll tell you a lot of truth, but slip in just a little bit of lies. So like 10% lies ruins everything, right? So remember this. Eve wasn't deceived by a pitchfork carrying red devilish guy with horns. It says that the serpent, you look up the word serpent, it's Nakash, and Nakash means the shining one. So this was probably a very beautiful thing, however he looked, to the eyes. And Eve was seduced by him. Beguiled actually means seduced. Seduction takes a while. Seduction is a little different than just being tricked. Seduction is like, there's more steps involved in it. Ultimately, it's being tricked, but seduction is part of that. So again, that's the exact same way he works with us. But I wanted to share that with you guys also because, these are the steps taken until we get to the later steps. And what do I mean by that? I mean, how they silence the truth right now is going to be inflamed later on into bigger measures. In other words, all they're doing right now is censoring us unfairly and badly, right? But eventually they'll, hopefully in their eyes, wipe us almost completely off the internet. And then once they're done with that, eventually they get to wiping us off of the earth, if you get my drift. That's the pattern. Right? That is the pattern. The prophet spoke for years. Eventually they got him and they took him out. I think that the same pattern is in their mind. It's a progressive persecution, right? And that's almost like how the devil seduces people. It's like, well, people aren't thinking too much of it right now. I'm just getting shadow banned, but eventually they might come for you somehow. That's the pattern in the Bible. And you read the book of Revelation, it does show a lot of persecution in the last days. First comes famine, then comes economic collapse, and then comes, pestilence, and then we see around the fourth seal, we see persecution. We also see this in Revelation chapter 12 or 13. I believe it's 12 or 11 or 10 or a few of them. And we see the saints being persecuted, whether we're here for all that or not. We're just going to have to play it out. But again, this is what's going on. This is some of the ways that the devil works, and through his people, just like God works through his people. And it's important to know the devil's patterns. It's God's patterns, but it's in a corrupted way. Devil said, I will be like the Most High. So